And we're back with part 2 of the G67 Unit 2 assessment review. We're going to find the surface area of those two cylinders now. So you have pictures of them. I took and drew some quick sketches. Basically, I need to find the area of two circles and then that rectangle, or I call it the soup label. The first one had a radius of 3, so we know that the diameter then is 6. So d pi is around Napoleon. D, the diameter, times pi, 3.14, gives you the circumference. D pi is around. So if I take and throw that in, just pop that guy in. So we've got a 3.14, the diameter. We're going to take that times, 3.14 pi times the diameter of 6. We're going to get 18.84. So 18.84 is the circumference. That's going to give us this measurement right here. So now I've got to find the area of the two circles. I've got the circumference. I can just multiply these two guys together. And actually, I can just do that right now. That's 10. So I got 188.4 here. Just move the decimal there. Is the surface area. And we've got this guy up here now. We're going to have to find the area of that circle too. So we're going to go back to using pi r, 3.14 times the radius, which is times 3, which is just going to call it 9. We already had this on that last one. So 3.14, sorry about that, 3.14 times 9 is going to give us 28.26. So the area of this guy here is 28.26. The area of this guy down here is 28.26. So we found the tops of the soup can, the bottom of the soup can, and the label. We can just add those guys all up. So that's plus 28.26 plus, we got that 188.4. That equals 244. I'm going to double check that. 28.26 plus 28.26 equals 56.52. We're going to add to that 188.4. We get 244.92. That's going to be surface areas, and that measure was in inches, so this is going to be inches squared for this first guy here. Alrighty, let's do this next one. We've got a diameter of 10, which gives us an area of 5, and we already found the area on that other one, but I'll just do it again for you real quick. It's pi r, so it's 3.14 times 25 to give us the area there. 3.14 times 25. That gives us the area here of 78.5, and this down here, of course, is 78.5. Now I can take the diameter. I have to use d pi again to find this top distance, because the circumference around that circle is going to be the measure of that missing measure of the rectangle there. So really, we've got d pi, the diameter times pi. The diameter is 10 times 3.14. Well, I can really just move the decimal there to multiply by 10. If you want to do it in the calculator, go ahead and check. It's going to be the same. So I got 31.4. 31.4. I'm going to multiply that times 12. We get 376.8. We're just going to double check that one more time. 3.14 times. You'll notice I'm constantly checking my work. 3.14 times 12. 31.4. 31.4 times 12. 376.8. So I've got everything I need. I've got the tops. So there's the soup label. I'm going to add to that the top of the can, 78.5. Add to that the bottom of the can, 78.5. My total area is 533.8. 533.8. That's going to be centimeters squared because it's area again. Okay, moving on. What's the volume of this pyramid? Well, that's a little bit quicker. We take the base times the height. It's basically this here. We've got the big B times the height divided by 3. So the base is going to be 100. 10 times 10 gives us 100 times the height, which is 5, and we divide that all by 3. That's really the same as 500 divided by 3. So 500 divided by 3 gives us 166.6 repeating, and that is going to be listed as feet cubed. That's our unit, feet cubed. Let's do this one real quick too. Little trick here, it's a triangular pyramid, so we got to find the area of that base. So, oh, sweet, they already told us the area of the base. So we just have to take 8.7 times the height, which is not 7, that's a distractor, just like the 6 over here was a distractor. We take it times 9, we divide that whole mess by 3. So 8.7 is area squared, that's the big base, times the 9 gives us this. We divide that by 3, we get 26.1. Let me just double check that one more time. I'll run that. 8.7 times 9 equals, divide that whole mess by 3. 26.1, and that's going to be centimeters cubed for volume. There you go. All right. We use a similar formula for finding the area of cones. We take the big base times the height, and we divide the whole thing by 3. So on a cone, we got to find the area of that circle there. So if that's 2 inches in diameter, then the radius is just going to be 1 inch. So we have to take pi r, so 3.14 times 1 squared, which is really just 3.14. So that's the area of the circle, 3.14. We're going to multiply that times the height of 6. Put my calculator so you can see it. 3.14 times 6. That equals 18.84. 18.84. That gives us our base times our height. Now we have to divide that by 3. We got 6.2a. So the volume here would be 6.28 inches cubed. Okay, the volume of cone B, same thing. We've got a radius of 4. So pi r would be 3.14 times 16. Let's do that. 3.14 times 16 gives me 50.24. So I've got 50.24 times the height. The height of this guy is 9. And take that whole thing divided by 3. We'll take that times 9. So I've got 452.16. We have to divide that by 3. It's 150.72 centimeters cubed. All right. Moving on. Central angles. I like this. This seems complicated, but it's really pretty easy. Look at the graph of the favorite classes of the Echo Park 5th graders. Here it is. It's this one right here. What is the central angle of the math portion? The math portion. Well, the math portion is 22%. So let's just figure this out. Let's just box up this thing. So we got 22% chose math out of 100%. That's got to be like some corresponding angle out of a total of 360 degrees. So let's just solve that real quick. 22 times 360. We're taking divide that by 100. I got 79.2. 79.2 degrees. And does it make sense? Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I'm trying to find something square here, a little piece of yellow paper. If I slid that in, that would be a 90-degree angle right here. And it's less than 90, 79.2, basically 80 degrees. Yeah, that thing's spot on, I think. On the same graph, what percentage of the students chose reading? Well, there's 100% in a whole, and that's, sometimes kids forget that. It's pretty simple. So all we have to do is add up all these percentages and subtract them from 100. So let's just do that. Or we can do it backwards and then just subtract. Let's subtract from 100. Here's 100, and we're going to take away, well, this would be 33% between those two, down to 67. I'm going to minus 17% for that guy there. And then I'm going to take away 16% for social studies. We got 34%. 34% of the students chose reading. Let's just double check it. 34%. We're going to add back the 33% for these two. We'll add back the 17%, and we'll add back the 16. We're back to 100%. 34% chose reading. Miss Palenka must be teaching reading because they all want to be in reading. Not. Oh, it's interesting. It'd be interesting to do that data. All right, let's keep rolling here. We're on to the next page, my friends. All right. What is the central angle of the comedy sector in the graph depicting Mrs. Smythe's or Mrs. Smith's film survey? So comedy is over here. I got to double check that. Oh, it's got to be right here. So this is the comedy here. It's pointing to this section. This one's pointing down. I think the graphic got slid a little bit. So it looks like we've got 27% out of 100% chose comedies. Well, 27% chose comedies, then that's got to be some corresponding angle out of 360 degrees. So let's just multiply that, the 27, clear that out, 27% times 360 gives you 9,720. We'll divide that by 100, 97.2. And again, you know, quick check, throw my yellow piece of paper in there. This would be a 90-degree angle. You can see that it's more than a 90-degree angle, so that makes sense. 97.2 degrees. I'm just going to do the, in case you thought it was this 8% one. It's not, but it could be. Well, 8% out of 100% is like something out of 360 degrees. Because remember, 8% is the part, and this is the whole, so we've got three numbers, we can find the fourth. 8 times 360 is the 2,880. We divide that by 100. That'd be 28.8. That's in case you thought the comedy was pointing to 8%. All right, that'd be degrees. If Mrs. Smythe surveyed 200 kids, how many kids chose action movies as their favorite? Well, there's a couple of ways you can do this. First of all, you can say, well, hey, we can just box it up, you know, 27% out of 100 is like how many kids out of 200? You can multiply and divide it there. You can do that. 27 times 200 divided by 100. And it gives you 54. And at this point, you're probably going, doy. Let's see. This is like out of 100 kids or 100%, so it's just going to double for 200% or 200 kids. So no matter how you slice it, 54, the little buggers like comedy. All right, let's keep rolling. You know what? I did that wrong. I did comedy. I think this is pointing down to action. You see how these got shifted? So let me just redo that. The action is 18% out of 100. So out of 200, that's just going to double to 36 kids. Sorry about that, kids. Now you got both answers no matter how you chose it. But this is definitely action movies, and it's going down. All right, let's keep rolling. How are we doing time-wise here? We're doing all right. Measures of central tendency. Here are the scores in Mrs. Wooten's first hour math class. 60-point chapter 2 test. There are the data. Note, Miley scored 23 because she was unable to complete the test. It's a pretty low score. Makes sense. What was the mean, median, and mode for this data? All right, we got to add them up. Let's do the mean first. Mean. Mean, we're just going to add them up and divide them. So we got 45 plus 54 plus 23 plus 32 plus 54 plus 45 plus 54. Got 307. We're going to divide that by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scores. The average is 43.85, and I'm supposed to round to the nearest hundredth, it says on the front page. So 43.86 would be, I guess that's points. That's the mean on it. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. For the mode, I got to look for the most popular. I think 54 was in there a bunch of times. Here's 54 once, twice, 3 times. So the mode is going to be 54. We've got to find the median. Here's where we've got to put them in order. So we know that Miley is over here at 23, and then I think it's 32, and then it's going to be 45. Just cross those guys off. And it's going to be 45 again. Got a couple of 45s. And then 3 54s. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 scores. So, you can start chopping them off here if you want. But you can see that right there in the middle score is going to be 45. So that's the median is 45. Okay. Billy Ray, one of her students, was missing. He took the test and received a score of 28. Which measure of central tendency will be impacted? Well, let's just think about this. If we take and add 28 in here, 28 is going to be right here. So now we can redo the mode. This time we'll use x's. We still got 2 45s left, so the median isn't going to be impacted. No change. I'm just going to put NC for no change. The mode isn't going to be impacted. No change because he didn't get the mode and there is no other 28, so now it's not going to be bimodal or anything like that, so no change to the mode. The mean, of course, is going to go down, and I don't even need to calculate it. I know that a score of 28 is going to pull that average of 43.86 down, so the mean is going to go down. So that's the only measure of central tendency that will change. Let's keep rolling here. Miley returns from an extended concert tour, decides to complete her test. Her new score of 23 is replaced by a score of 56. How will her new score impact the mean? Make the prediction and then make the calculations to see if you're correct. Include Billy Ray's when including the mean. All right, well, I guess now we've got to go back and figure out what the mean was with Billy Ray's. So we had 307 before. 307. We have to add Billy Ray's score in of 28. I'm going to just double check that 307. I think it was 307. I'm going to take and divide 307. I'm going to take and divide that by the 7 scores and see if we don't get that. Yeah, we did. So we had 307. We'll add Billy Ray's score in, which is 28. We get 335. I'm going to divide that by 8 scores now. So the mean with Billy Ray dropped to 41.875, and we're thinking that this is going to go up because Miley's score of 23 is gone, and it's going to be replaced by this score of 56. So let's just take and multiply this guy times those 8 scores. So we're back at 335. It was 335 divided by 8. But we're going to subtract Miley's score of 23 from that. We're going to get 312. To that 312, we are going to add her new score of 56. It's 368. And I will divide that then by the total of 8 scores. And it's up to 46. The mean rises to 46. And we knew it was going to rise because she took this low score and it's replaced by this huge score of 56 out of 60. Billy Ray and Miley, Y'all come back down here, visit us sometime down there in Kentucky or wherever. I thought you'd like that one. Okay, look at the set of prices for gasoline. What would happen if I added the following two prices to the data set? 218 and 263. Explain your reasoning. What happened to the median? All right, well, so here, let's see. 25, 27, 36, 39, 42, 47, 50. They're all, so these are actually all in the correct order if I was going to do the median. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my middle one is going to be the fourth one, so it'd be 3 on each side. So 239 here is the median. If I add in 218, that's going to be over here, $2.18. And if I add in $2.63, it's going to be up over the top here. Is our median going to change? No, we added one low score, one below the median, one above the median. The median is not going to change. No change. And we'll stop there. That's the end of part 2 of the G67 Unit 2 assessment review. Thanks for listening.